Support for the Common Knowledge podcast is brought to you by puremtgo.com. You can support the show personally by going to patreon.com/common knowledge, and you can email the show at commonknowledgemtg@gmail.com.
This is Common Knowledge, a Magic the Gathering podcast about improving at the game with a focus on pauper play. It's not about the cost, it's about the knowledge. Welcome to Common Knowledge. Here are your hosts, Brandon Clark and Lobbert. Enjoy this week's episode of Common Knowledge.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 26 of the Common Knowledge podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Clark, and joined with me is the champion himself, Sean the Lobbert.
That feels weird.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't think of a name to call you. I forgot that I did that every week until I was saying, "What's up, everyone?" And then I remembered, oh yeah, I need an adjective for Sean. I don't know. You're not technically a champion, but
yeah,
you did do something really awesome, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more today.
Yeah, I'm really one of those guys that tries to stay out of the limelight for the most part. Like, you know, maybe not online, but like in real life, I don't like being the center of attention. And just top 8ing this, a lot of people started paying attention to me, so it makes me feel awkward.
Maybe we'll just call you the awkward Sean Lobbert.
That's good. I think that's my favorite one yet.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of already jumps into how you're doing. You're feeling awkward.
Yeah.
But you're probably feeling good.
Both, yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling good for you.
How are you doing?
Good. Also good. I'm pretty worn out from Las Vegas, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm probably done playing Magic for at least... Actually, that's not true, because I played like 2 leagues today online, so maybe that's why I don't feel like talking about Magic right now, is because I played 2 leagues today.
Yeah, it's probably just too much, and man, it's been like 4 days of just 12 hours of Magic a day.
It was nutty. So for those of you living under a rock, we're talking about GP Vegas, and you probably all knew about it, but in case you didn't, there was a Grand Prix in Las Vegas, and we went, and we played lots of card games.
Yeah.
So we're going to skip the What Are We Playing segment today, since our main topic is basically just going to be a What Are We Playing segment. We're just going to basically talk about what we did in Vegas, talk about what we played, our matchups, our experiences. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll share funny stories.
Do you want to jump into the card of the week?
Yeah, we can do that. Our card of the week this week is Azuri's Archers. And this is actually, I got this card from someone I played against at the GP, and I can't remember his name, so if you're listening to the show, I'm sorry. I met a lot of people, and I don't remember, I think, any of their names.
Yeah.
But you kind of gave me some insight into this card that I had never actually really seen before or seen played before, and I think it's an interesting one. So do you want to tell us what this card is? And
sure. Azuri's Archers is a single green for a 1/2. It's an elf archer. It has reach, and when Azuri's Archers blocks a creature with flying, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn.
So it becomes a 4/2.
Yeah. I think the notable things about this card is it is a 2 toughness creature, and that's highly relevant in our format. It's kind of an alternative to Scattershot Archer and Penumbra Spider. From my experience, Scattershot Archer is better in decks that have Kyrian Ranger, where you can untap it. But if you can't do that, it actually, it feels really bad when they resolve a Delver or something like that.
Yeah. But even if you can untap it, you typically can only do it once or twice. Like, it's very rare that you have enough Curian Rangers in play to be able to untap him enough to kill, say, like a Spire Golem.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where the Azuri's Archers kind of comes in, is he gets big enough that he can trade himself with anything in the format, or he can just eat fairies because of that 2 toughness being so relevant on his body.
And Penumbra Spider is good, but it comes down so late that it often gets counterspelled, and
Yeah.
I haven't found much success with it. It's a good card, but it just hasn't worked in our format.
Right. And the Azuri's Archers, being just 1 green mana, gets around that by just being so efficient. So I think, my opponent, just to give a little background on how this came up, my opponent was playing Black-Green Tortured Existence, and he had these guys in place of Scattershot Archers in his sideboard, just because he said, I should be able to deal with the 1/1s quick enough that they're not going to swarm me. And then he's also he can gain a lot of life every turn with the Brown Scale.
Yeah.
And so he didn't feel like he was super worried about the 1/1s. What was an issue for him were the bigger flyers, like the Spire Golems and stuff, that he couldn't Azuri's Archers away. And so he used, Scattershot Archer away. So he used Azuri's Archers as a way that he could trade 1-for-1 with them, but then he could constantly be getting it back through his Tortured Existence. And so it just became this value train of just 1-for-1 all your big flyers.
Yeah, and they typically run Fume Spitter, and that deals with the 1/1s just fine.
Yeah, they do have Fume Spitter, and so there's a lot of ways that this deck just doesn't care about the 1/1s, and it's those higher toughness creatures that the Tortured Existence decks struggle with killing, and this guy seemed to do a really good job holding down the fort.
Yeah, I know that there's things like Penumbra Spider, and then there's some other guys that are more expensive that are probably better at dealing with flyers, but they're just too expensive. So this guy wasn't on my radar, so I think this is a cool pick.
I definitely think that 80% of the time it's correct to just play Scattershot Archers, but
Without the
I
recursion,
do-
this is lackluster.
Yeah, I do like this guy in the Tortured Existence decks that can recur it over and over again, because it's so simple to just pay a black mana, get it back, pay a green mana, put it back into play. Very efficient, and it just gets really big when it's blocking those flying creatures. So I thought it was an interesting card, and so thank you to my opponent for, I guess, enlightening us. I really wish I could remember your name, and I'm sorry, but yeah, it was kind of a cool level up moment, I think, for the two of us when we kind of discovered this new piece of technology. So that's our card of the week. Let's jump on into our main topic. For our main topic today, we're going to do a quick Battlebond set review, and I mean quick.
Yeah.
I think we have 4 cards to talk about.
Yeah, and most of them aren't worth talking about much.
No, but we're going to mention them just because it is worth mentioning.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say at least 3 out of these 4 cards I would never expect to see. One of these cards I think is actually quite good.
I'm excited to see which one you think is good. So I'll take the first one. This is our blue card. It's Soaring Show Off. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 Bird Warrior. It has flying, and when it enters the battlefield, each player draws a card. So it is card advantage, even though you both draw a card, because you're the one that ends up with a 2/2 with flying. But that's just, in my opinion, these effects are really dangerous, since they can draw your opponent out of their ruts and stuff like that. I don't think this is going to see any play. I've played around with effects like this in mill strategies, trying to be let's both draw cards. My cards are going to mill you. Plus, when you draw a card, that's kind of like mill. But that strategy just didn't end up working at all.
Yeah, I would probably disagree with your mentality that them drawing a card is kind of like getting milled. But
It's really weak.
100% disagree with that statement. But the thing, though, with the show-off is I don't think it's necessarily card advantage either, because like you do get the 2/2, but they get the card and you get a card. So like the card that they're spending to deal with the soaring show-off is just replaced by the card they drew. So it's still a 1-for-1.
Yeah, so it ends up just being like a bear in the air. Like,
Right.
And
You
then
still
you
just end up breaking even when the dust settles, which, yeah, I'm not particularly excited about this card, but I know I've seen people talking about it on the interwebs. I don't think it's good much, and I don't think it'll get played, but
especially since you're both drawing, you need to really have your cards be cheaper than their cards to really capitalize on that. And you're playing Soaring Show Off. It kind of just looks like your deck
is
isn't
already
going
full
to be
of
cheaper.
3-mana 2/2 birds, so
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah. So,
All right.
do you want to introduce the green card?
Yeah. So this is combo attack, and it's 2 and a green for a sorcery, and it says 2 target creatures your team controls each deal damage equal to their power to target creature. This is the card that I'm excited about, but I am going to ask, maybe I'm misunderstanding the rules. So it says 2 target creatures your team controls. That does mean 2 creatures you control, right?
I'm
Like, it doesn't have to be
assuming.
my creature and my teammate's creature. I can choose 2 of my own, right?
Right, you should be able to.
Right. So in the context of a 1v1 game, I can have 2 of my guys double up on someone else's creature.
Yeah, and Epic Confrontation is good because it gives that plus so that it can deal that extra damage. And this has redundancy where they can't just kill your creature and 2-for-1 you.
Right.
And it's never going to be a trade like a fight spell usually is. It's worked into the price. It does cost a little bit more, but you might be getting enough for it that some decks want to run it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that this card is maybe not better, but comparable in power level to Cartouche of Strength. The enchantment that fights.
Yeah, +1/+1 and fight.
Yeah. They're the same mana cost, but they're a little different. So the Cartouche is a permanent +1/+1, but they fight, which means that unless you want to get 2-for-1, your creature has to just be bigger than theirs so that you can 1-for-1. The Cartouche of Strength is easier to get blown out by because they can just kill your creature when you try to enchant it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like you said, I think this is what the biggest strength of the combo attack is. Your opponent has to choose one of your creatures to kill in response, which means in a lot of cases you can, I'm thinking about like a Stompy deck. They can do 2 Nettle Sentinels teaming up against a 2/2, and no matter what, like you're still going to get your 1-for-1 and eat away their 2/2.
Yeah, so this is probably the best card in the set for us.
Yeah, I think it is the best card in the set. I don't think it's better than Epic Confrontation. I wouldn't be surprised to see this card. I'll say that. So I don't know. Maybe I should go back on me being excited about this card.
Yeah,
Maybe I was just excited because we found something mildly playable.
I think that's what it is. I know that both of the Cartouche of Strength and Epic Confrontation, you're clearing a path a lot of the time for your guy, and then you get an attack for an extra 1, and that's really, really good.
Yeah. Plus, I guess like the deck that's playing Cartouche of Strength is typically hexproof, so all the downsides that I just talked about don't really matter.
It's probably not fitting into any existing like big decks, but something like mono green ramp or something like that
maybe
could possibly want this. I'm still tentative on that though. So,
yeah, I'm just gonna. When you guys heard me say I was excited, just forget I said that. I was excited that we found something playable from Battlebond for Pauper.
I actually think the card I'm excited for the most, I'm going to do these 2 cards together because they're basically Siege right now. Just kidding. So the 2 cards are both colorless. They're artifacts. It's Peace Strider and Pierce Strider. They're both 4 mana. They're 3/3 artifact creatures that are constructs. And Peace Strider, when it enters the battlefield, gains you 3 life. And Pure Strider loses your opponent 3 life. I actually think Pure Strider isn't the worst thing. 3 damage on a creature that's a decent amount, and like a 3/3 is a decent body. Like I don't know what I'm doing with it yet, but it feels fine.
Yeah, I don't know. You're the artifact guy, so I'm just gonna take your word for it. But yeah, these were both cards that I just like immediately looked over when I was looking at the set review, and so you probably definitely see something there that I don't.
Yeah, like I've built a mud deck and I've put bottle gnomes in it. Like compare that to Peace Strider, you get to keep your creature. The body's a lot better for 1 more mana. That's significant.
See, I probably just need to try to get my Brewer's cap on to think of where these cards are good, and that's your specialty, not mine. So
Yeah, like I know that
I'll
pretty
wait
much
for
all
you
of the
to
cards
find
in
a way
this,
to make these cards playable, and then I'll make my decision on whether they're good or not.
like all of the cards in this, I know don't go into existing decks, but like fringe decks that are kind of looking for a new card, we could see it played.
So I did actually, in one of my Pauper events that I played, in the last round, I got to sit next to Gavin Verhey,
Okay.
which, for those who don't know, he was the lead designer on Battlebond. So I kind of got a conversation going with him, and I was sort of just like, in jest, like, where was all the Pauper love for Battlebond? And he was like, yeah, I didn't even, when we finished designing the set, and then that's when like the Pauper craze happened, and I started like thinking of all these great things I could have downshifted to common and stuff I could have put in there, but it was already too late. And so I'm like, he felt like he definitely regretted that, but he did tell me that Pauper will be in consideration when they design sets going forward.
That's
Like that's
huge.
gonna be it's gonna be something that they think about when they design a set. They're gonna think about what can downshift, which is cool.
There's certain effects that I think Pauper wants, like players can't gain life or things like that we just don't have, but they would totally fit in Pauper. Like they're not too powerful or anything. Like I know we're not getting like take an extra turn or anything like that.
Yeah, but like the card Skullcrack.
Yeah.
Would that card be bad in Pauper? I think it would fit right in.
We talked about that in what we want downshifted to common, like our episode, cards we want in common. And we went into that really
remember that. But...
Yeah, we went into that really deep. And we really want that card. I don't know, it might be too strong. That's where we ended up on it with like, that it might be too strong. Maybe they printed a new spell, like just 2 damage or something.
A slightly worse Skullcrack effect.
Yeah.
That isn't flaring pain.
Yeah, because that doesn't even stop healing.
But yeah, so that was, I think, one of the highlights of my weekend was hearing that news from Gavin that Pauper is in their sights. It's when they design sets, they think about all those formats. They think about modern, and they think about standard, and they're thinking about limited, and they throw their commander stuff in there. And now they're going to be looking out to throw us a bone every once in a while, and they're going to be thinking about cool down shifts they can have, or awesome new commons they can give us. So I'm definitely excited for the future and what's going to happen.
I feel like that's some big news. Like, you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Like, they're thinking about us.
Yeah, we're not a joke format anymore, like people seem to think we are. It frustrated me, but on Twitter, since we had the Pauper Championships and there was a lot of hype around Pauper this weekend, there was a lot of like, oh, this is still a new format, or oh, this isn't a real format, all that stuff, and I'm like, no, this isn't a new format. This is a developed format. This is an explored format. Like, I wouldn't say it's solved by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it might be close to solved with Delver. That just might be an indignation of how powerful the card Delver of Secrets actually is, not how linear the format is, Like I think that there's still a lot of room for innovation in this format, and
Yeah, there's tons of YouTube channels that people just brew cool decks and then like play them and just show people like, hey, this is a new thing. And like our buddy was commenting on how he was playing just this jank like nimble mongoose brew, and people kept coming up to him and being like, oh, what's this? Oh, what are you playing? Oh, I want your deck list. And he was like, no, you don't. Like, and it was really bad. Like,
it was a pretty janky list, but yeah, there's definitely a hunger in the format for new things, and even though this format I think is very developed and has been around going strong for a couple of years now, but there's still this constant just Pauper players are always looking to innovate. They're always looking for a new brew, and there are just so many cards in the format.
Yeah.
The ban list is very short. There's just a lot of room for innovation.
And a lot of room for more cards on the ban list.
I don't know that we need a lot more room, but I could make one slot available.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna just not kick that hornet's nest. Take a step back. So
Ban Delver of Secrets.
Yeah.
Kicked it hard. All right, well, feel free to yell at us on our email. You can email us and yell at us, tell us we're dumb. You can go onto Reddit and say those common knowledge guys are dumb. They think Delver of Secrets should be banned.
Okay, well, we've already kicked the hornet's nest. So
let's stir.
Let's just stir it up. So my thinking is like, you look at the power level of Delver of Secrets as a 1-drop in our format, and then you think of the second best blue 1-drop, the power level there, like the gap.
Not even blue. Just think of the second best 1-drop period in the format, and there's still a huge gap.
Yeah. It's just the gap is so huge that
Right.
I don't think it's justifiable.
Right. It basically is. It's basically devolving into, if you're playing blue, you can probably find a way to fit Delver of Secrets in your deck, and we're seeing that. Like the Jace's Erasure decks are playing Delver of Secrets in them.
It's not even on strategy. It's
No.
like just this weird other thing that it's doing, but it's just so good. Yeah.
And I think that's unhealthy.
You think that's what?
Unhealthy, not good.
Yeah.
The opposite of bueno, which is no bueno.
So
Anyway,
what did you play in Vegas?
I played Delver, of course.
Yeah.
I played Blue-Red Delver. The only games of Pauper I lost were the couple games that I played in the Turbo Town.
Mm-hmm.
I played a game against Blue-Black Alchemy where I mulled to 4, both games 1 and games 2, and came very, very close to winning both games 1 and games 2.
Yeah, and you didn't play in the championship though.
No, I made a dumb decision and decided to play in the main event. And I thought that I've been doing really well at Dominaria Limited, and I practiced it a lot, and I feel comfortable with it. And I feel like I'm a good enough limited player that having a goal of making my first GP Day 2 wasn't a far stretch. But I went 0-2 drop and missed registration for the Pauper Championships by like 10 minutes.
I missed out on that sweet Ponder playmat that says Pauper on it.
Yeah, dang. If I had realized... See, and that's why I don't play main events at GPs, because I would just much rather play all the other fun side events and not feel the stress of like, oh, this is a GP tournament, but I let a couple friends convince me that I was a decent limited player and that I should sign up, so I did.
Friends have friends play Pauper with them, like
Yeah,
I was telling you to.
Friends don't let friends play main events at Grand Prix. If you want that, go listen to the other constructive criticism podcasts. They'll
Limited
tell you
time.
all about their day 2s and their silver level pro player status. I'm not salty, you're salty. What did you play?
So I took 2 decks. I took Bomberman and Corrupt Control, and my plan was to play like side events before the championship and suss out which I thought was better. And I started with Corrupt Control, and when I played for 2 days and hadn't lost a game, I decided that I was going to go with Corrupt Control.
How did that work out for you?
Like we said at the top of the show, I top 8'd. I lost in the first round of the top 8 to Scred Delver, but
Those stinky Delvers.
like before going in there, I was, I think, like 9-0 with that deck, and then after that tournament, I was 13-1, and I ended up in the Swiss going 4-0-1, and my only draw was to another Scred Delver deck.
And was that an intentional draw or was that an ID?
It was unintentional.
Okay.
It just happened, like, our games went long.
I just realized that I said intentional draw twice.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what ID means.
It means intentional draw. See, I meant to say unintentional, or was that an ID?
Yeah, I was trying to use context clues, and I was like, ID, intentional draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just literally said the same thing.
But yeah, the deck ran hot all weekend. I felt super confident in it, and
I think because the deck is hot.
And I felt confident in that game. I had basically the win in hand, and he top decked a Bolt. I was super low. I was at like 4, and he had 2 1/1s out, and I was about to cast like Consume Spirit for like 9, and he just top decked the Bolt. He was a very good player. Like, everything he did was really tight.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to lose to the top deck Bolt, but it's still people are calling this the first Hopper GP, and you top 8 the first Hopper GP. That's very cool. Yeah,
It was
that's
super cool
a
experience.
huge accomplishment to have under your belt. It was a very exciting moment, I think, for everyone. I know that basically all the local guys from the area that were down there were all getting really excited about your record. And Sean's going into the last round at playing his winning in for top 8, and there was just a huge buzz, a lot of excitement.
And I don't know what it is about my personality, but I have a hard time getting excited at all about anything ever. And you talked to me, and I was just like, yeah,
It's happening.
it's happening.
This is just the way things are going.
And then it kind of hit me the next day. I was like, oh, that was really cool. And then I got excited, but I was alone in my house. So one of the cool things that I saw running around at that tournament, I actually played against it one of the times. It was this cycling, a bunch of cyclers, without Street Wraith, Horror of the Broken Lands, and Croson Tusker, and whatever the 4/4 that has to attack every turn that can cycle for 1. Anyway, just a bunch of guys like that. And then it had Songs of the Damned, which is 1 black mana, instant speed, add a black mana to your mana pool for every creature in your graveyard. And it just tries to play Crypt Rats and burn you out of the game with just... I was going to say burn you out of the game really quick, but that deck is not quick.
No, it does it it seemed to do it very slowly.
Yeah, but then, it does it slowly, but it does have Knot of the Bone that it can... Knot of the Bone has flashback, and it gains you 2 life for each creature in your graveyard. Mm-hmm. So the game I played against it, he was at, 150 around there, and I was corrupting him for, 11, 12 a turn just to stay alive through his Songs of the Damned combo. And it's a nuts deck. A lot of the games that it lost were because it milled itself. And it has this cool strategy that if it gets later in the game, it can just play all of those like or Horror of the Broken Lands, and just have 4/4s and 5/4s and stuff like that, and just beat you in with those.
Yeah, it was an interesting deck, and it was one that neither of us were very familiar with. I want to say that neither of us had ever seen it before. I know I hadn't seen it before this weekend.
I've seen stuff that does that, but it's always using Exhume. And so I was expecting an Exhume out of them, and it just never happened. It made the top 8. One of those decks made the top 8, and I was just kind of floored. I was like, I didn't think it would. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Relic of Progenitus just shuts it down so bad, and Counterspell. There were, I think, 3 Delver decks in the top 8, and I think it ended up losing to one of those because, like,
Two blue-red and 1 blue Delver.
yeah, and just Spell Stutter Sprite alone can counter enough of its spells, and then they just fly over it. I feel like it's a flash in the pan, but maybe they have more strategies to kill people. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a deck worth keeping an eye on, but I can kind of see how you would think that it's maybe not a thing, and it was just it's more of a one-trick pony, than an actual deck. But I think it's worth keeping an eye out for. And my big takeaway from this Grand Prix was the amount of Delver.
Yeah.
Somehow I didn't play a single Skredmir the entire weekend. I played against Blue Delver once, but every time I sat down, like at least 3 to 4 of the 6 players within the vicinity of like me, the guy to my left, the guy to my right, and their opponents, at least like 3 or 4 of us were on Delver. It'd be like, I'm playing Delver, he's playing Delver, they're playing a Delver mirror, that guy's playing Delver.
It was all over the place.
There was so much Delver.
And I wish we had more like concrete data. Like, they collected everyone's deck lists, and I know that it would take a person all day to type all of those in, but I want that data anyway. I would type them in. Not that I have time to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to say about the tournament is I was kind of surprised by how many people were saying it was their first time playing Pauper.
Yeah. There were people too that just showed up to the venue, bought a deck, just at a booth or something, just went up to a booth, gave them their deck list, and entered the tournament.
That part blows my mind because I had a really hard time finding Disfigure from booths. I don't know how people found all the other commons. Like, they found an entire deck worth of commons.
I couldn't find Swirling Sandstorms to save my life.
Yeah, and it's just that the vendors don't bring those cards. Pauper hasn't been a thing, and it's not financially reasonable, I guess.
Right.
Like,
it just doesn't make sense for them to pay, the time, the travel expenses of carrying around those cards, lugging those cards to the GP, wherein it's like, maybe someone's going to dig through this box of commons.
It's a shame because I know that all it would take would be to, like, grab a long box and for someone who knows the format to just jam all the commons from the meta decks in there. Yeah. And, like, there was a big Pauper tournament at this venue. Why not serve the people that came there for that?
Yeah. I know the only booth that I found that had boxes that you could just go through and pull commons out of was Channel Fireball's booth. And it was frustrating because everything in the box was $1. It was just flat. Everything is $1. And there were a lot of people, like, I went through those boxes and found a lot of stuff that was like, this is like $3 card. This is like a $2 card. But the cards I really wanted to buy were like, they had a bunch of foreign commons. I pulled a playset of Chinese Augur Bolus, and I pulled a bunch of Japanese Spellstutter Sprites, and I looked at the guy and I'm like, how much are all these cards? And they're like $1 a piece. And I was like, for an Augur Bolus, $1? Really? It was disappointing because I wasn't digging through their box to make money like a lot of people were. I just wanted to get these sweet foreign commons for my decks.
Yeah, and a card. I'm not up to date.
$1 per common.
Yeah. I feel like $1 isn't an unreasonable price for an Augur of Bolas, but I don't keep on up on prices, especially in paper at all. Yeah, I just looked it up, and Augur is like 20 to 30 cents, so you would be way overpaying for those. But I guess when they're
even at $2 per dollar, I feel like would be overpaying, but
if they're the only people at the tournament though that have them, and people are walking around to vendors trying to pick up an entire deck, I'm sure that they can make a killing out of just a box like that.
And GPs are one of the easiest places to go and get, pimped out cards for your decks. And I like to find foreign singles for my pauper decks. I don't foil out my pauper decks like I do other decks or try to do with other decks. I just like getting Japanese and Chinese cards from my pauper decks.
I've foiled out a fair bit of that corrupt control list, and that Vegas Sun, man, like those cards were like little bridges. They were just arced by the time I opened up that deck box, and I had to like sit there and work them to get them flat again. I probably should go back to not playing foils, but
I like that there were some people there with like double sleeved, fully foil pauper decks. I just think that's funny. I don't know. I was really close to buying those foil Japanese gushes.
Oh my gosh. Aren't those like $80?
They were selling them for 50 a piece at the booth.
That's actually a deal.
I know, but then I feel like if I've got foil gushes in my deck, I've got to get other foils in my pauper deck. And I just don't want to buy foil commons for my pauper decks.
Yeah.
But those gushes, man. Foil Japanese.
Part of the reason I don't want you to buy foils for your pauper decks is because I know you'll freaking sell them, because you sell everything. And I want you to keep your deck. Like, I was super upset when you sold out a Legacy.
I didn't really have a choice.
I know.
I needed to buy a car.
Dumb.
Be upset at my
I hate your wife.
Be upset at the guy that ran the red light and T-boned my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you feel bad now.
I feel bad for you.
Because I had to sell my Legacy collection to buy my wife a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked.
One of the things I noticed at the Grand Prix was that they were just normal. Like, this is a dumb thing to say, but they were just normal judges. They weren't like judges that knew Pauper intimately.
Yeah, and that did cause some problems. A few that I saw.
So, like, we had a good friend who was at the tournament playing Tireless Tribe. And I was talking, like, he had barely picked up the deck. He wasn't super familiar with it. And I was, like, talking to him about it. And I was explaining how you can put Inside Out on your Tireless Tribe and then discard all your cards. And he played against an opponent, did just that, and his opponent didn't believe him. He calls the judge. The judge agrees with his opponent. It's like, no, you're pumping the toughness still. He appealed it, and he got, like, a just ruling. And
yeah, luckily the judge that they appealed to knew the interaction. But
yeah, but that's scary. Like, what if...
Yeah.
That's like one of the best decks in the format, and one of the pauper judges doesn't know about it, like, just a card interaction. What if someone tries to counter a ninja? Like, I know ninjutsu should be a known quantity, I don't know what the word is, but it should be known that you can't counter that. It's just an ability.
And I think that's going to be a concern going forward, definitely, for as long as this format remains sort of fringe. I know it's starting to build traction, but for now, there's still a lot of shade around the format. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what to say. What am I trying to say? People don't know a lot because it's not very well known. It's not like a standard format where a weird interaction is immediately found because thousands of people are playing games and the top pros are playing games and finding these interactions, and then they're shooting through the internet, and the hive mind of Magic players are collecting that data and sharing it. And that's not happening in Pauper the way it is in Standard and Modern. And so,
especially since it's an online primarily format where there are no judges. So they don't
Right,
have to
and
worry
Magic
about it.
Online takes care of all these things for us, and so a lot of players don't have to think about it. The Magic Online takes care of all this for us, and so players don't have to think about it. And when they get into a paper setting where they actually need to know these interactions and know the way these cards work, because Magic Online's not going to do it for them, I noticed that things got iffy. There was a lot of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had an opponent call a judge on me because I attacked with a spell setter sprite. He said no blocks, and I said cool, pass priority. And he went before damage, ult it, and I went ninjutsu, and he went, but we already went through blocks. Well, yeah, my creature's still unblocked,
Yeah.
so I can ninjutsu him. And there was a judge sitting right next to me at the time, and so the judge was just like, he is right. Like he can ninja whenever after no blocks have been declared at any point. He can ninjutsu. And, you know, he just didn't know that. That was an interaction that he didn't know was a thing.
Like, one of the times, I was just doing a Turbo Town, like, it's casual, just 1v1, and my opponent had 2 Fairy Miscreants out, and he plays another Fairy Miscreant, and he picks up 2 cards and puts it in his hand. Like, as in, if you have 2 Fairy Miscreants out, you draw 2 cards.
Yeah, like the effect would stack. The more fairies you have out, the more cards you draw.
So I stopped him, and I was like, I'm going to call a judge. You only draw 1 card there. And so he takes the 2 cards that he had put in his hand, like, and kind of sets them aside. And I'm like, hey, he drew 2 cards. He's only supposed to draw 1. And the judge was like, okay, do you know what order they were in? And he's like, yeah, this one. And he's like, okay, just put that one back on top of your library. And I kind of, like, I know it was casual, but that upset me a little. Like, is that really how it goes? Even in casual? I thought I get to thought seize him or something.
They should have at least shuffled the second card away. But at the same time, like, that's super sketchy because he could have just completely lied about which card. Even though, like, you were just playing a casual game in the turbo booth, like, that's still a sketchy ruling. Like, that just feels like a lazy ruling to me. Like, the judge was just like, I don't want to deal with you guys right now because I'm dealing with all the other Jobins at the Turbo Town area, so just do it like this.
And I didn't cause a stink or anything because, like, I respect the judges, and I was going to crush him anyway. But that's just something I'm not used to because I primarily play Magic Online. I'm just not used to having judges be an issue and, like, the rules being a problem because they're just done for me.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I think the other big one that I want to talk about, I want to get on my soapbox for a minute to you listeners. And hopefully this is going to help you guys get better, right? Because this is something that isn't intuitive to a new player, to a player who's not familiar with these cards. But Gush is an instant. But you cast Gush on your main phase, okay? Gush is not an end of turn cast this spell. And I know that's unintuitive to a lot of people because you're conditioned to, you cast your instance at the last possible moment. Okay, I'm going to cast this out at the end of my opponent's end step. You know, Gush doesn't work that way. I think the only Gush that I cast outside of my main phase this weekend was I had 2 Delvers in play and a Stormbound Geist with an Undying counter on it. My opponent had 1 blocker. It was a Core Skyfisher, and they were at 6, and they were tapped out, or out of cards. They were out of cards. And I put my first Delver trigger on the stack and didn't flip it, so I gushed in my upkeep to try and flip my other Delver. That was the only Gush I didn't cast in my main phase this weekend. And it was a fringe, like, my life total's super low. I don't want you to top that Galvanic Blast. I want to get you dead. So Gush here.
And it's just people being new to the format and they've never seen Gush be cast at all.
Right, because this is a card that you don't play in Modern, you don't play in Legacy. It doesn't get played in EDH. The only other format Gush gets played in is Vintage. And let's be real, like probably 95% of the Pauper community doesn't play Vintage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. And I would say that, okay, maybe it's closer to like 99% of the community doesn't play Vintage, but maybe like 80 or 90% of the community is familiar with Vintage and watches Vintage.
I've watched it,
you know.
yeah.
But like for the most part, yeah, Gush is a weird card that players don't know how to use.
It was several times, and I was talking to one of my opponents about this. We were both doing really well in the tournament, and he was just like, man, the amount of people that are doing end-step Gushes just hurts me. And I was just like, me too! Like, I was playing against, like, Is It Blitz? And the guy end-step gushed, and then he gushed down to 0 land. Played a land, passed, or, like, cantripped, passed. I went to, like, read the bones or something, and he dazed it back to 0 land, and I was just thinking to myself, you could be at so much more land. I'm pretty confident you didn't need to gush there. I'm not sure what was in his hand, but for sure he didn't need to gush on my turn. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah. So I'm actually kind of thinking about it. I'm going to go back to what I said about Gush is you don't cast at the last possible moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's wrong. You do cast it at the last possible moment. That moment is just in your main phase. You wait till your opponent's done with their turn. You untap, you draw, and see what your next card is, and then you have access to all that mana. You float your 2, you bounce your islands, you play that another island from your hand. You're still, for that turn, at where you should be mana-wise. Mm-hmm. You're going to be down 1 mana or 2 mana the next turn, but you're still ahead that turn, which allows you to kind of take advantage of all these cards you've drawn.
Yeah, I did have an opponent do it correctly where he gushed on my turn, but it was because he needed a counterspell.
Yeah, and that's different.
Yeah.
You'll never gush during your opponent's end step for value. You know, you'll gush during their combat or during their turn where it's like, okay, I really need to find a counterspell here, or I really need, I need to do something, or maybe I have a spell seller sprite.
I did have a guy pay 5 mana on my end step, and that's respectable.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I would do that all day.
Mm-hmm.
I would just value 5 mana gush on my opponent's end step. But if you're bouncing lands to your hand to gush, it should never be in your opponent's end step. It's like you should always gush with a reason. Always have a purpose. And if that purpose is I have gush, I can cast gush, you better be paying the full 5 for it.
Yeah, even like I don't want to miss a land drop, that's a good reason. But that's also in your main phase.
Yes. There are a lot of good reasons to gush, and a lot of those reasons come up on your turn in your main phase. I'll be honest, I've gushed during my combat a few times where I had a ninja, just because I knew I wanted to ninja and gush that turn, and if I gushed, I wouldn't be able to ninja.
Yeah.
So I just went to my combat, attack, they didn't declare blocks, I floated 2, gushed, and then ninja with that 2 mana. And then in my second main phase, I played my land, and I was, right where I would have been anyway. But
another one of the things I saw was a lot more Tortured Existence players. I know that it's really appealing to new players, but I've also heard that the deck is way better in paper since the match clock doesn't work the same way. You're not going to get timed out and just lose. You can time out and win. And that deck is incredibly slow like that.
Yeah, you can just steal a game 1 and then drag game 2 on forever.
Did you see a lot of Tron?
No. I saw 1 Tron deck the whole weekend that I'm sure there were more, but
I saw one
deck the whole weekend, and I never played against Tron.
That really surprised me. I think that's one of the reasons why I did so well, is Tron's one of my worst matchups, and just not a lot of people were playing it.
I think the other deck that seemed to be popular was Blue-Black Teachings. I saw a lot of Blue-Black Teachings.
I did play against one, but it was like the Evan Car's Justice build, where they're just trying to Evan Cars Justice you out of the game instead of like
Yeah.
the Angler build.
Not teaching. Sorry, alchemy.
Oh, same difference.
Yeah, same difference, but I'm sure some angry nerd is gonna. Oh, they don't play teachings anymore. It's forbidden alchemy.
No, but I guess the one I played against, it was Blue-Black Teachings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think.
I saw a lot of blue-black alchemy decks.
Oh yeah, I think
Like,
Alchemy
maybe
is
they
better.
have one copy of teachings in there, but
Alchemy is better when you're going for the Angler plan, and I think Teaching still is good when you're going for the Evan Cars Justice plan.
so yeah, I don't know. We're pretty much magicked out, and we can't. I don't think either of us can think of anything else relevant to tell you, or I guess useful to tell you. So I don't know. We're just gonna BS for a minute about all the fun things we did in Las Vegas.
So, I feel like a Grand Prix could be anywhere, and I would basically want to do the same thing of just play Magic all weekend. But we got done with our Magic on Saturday, and you guys wanted to go and play like blackjack or something. And so
Yeah.
we're like, okay, we're gonna go back to the Airbnb and just drop off all of our stuff, and we're gonna go out and do the Vegas thing.
Well, we needed to get our buddy's phone too, because he had left his phone, and his phone had the case that has all his ID and stuff in it.
Right.
He had lost it that morning, or he had left it that morning, and he was struggling to get the keypad to unlock to get us back in, and we were running late. And he and I both needed to get seated for deck construction for the main event, so we were just like, all of us were just in a hurry, and we're just like, screw it, we'll get it later, and we just bounced. And I think we had kind of forgotten about that by the time we had gotten home at like 10:30 at night.
Yeah, it was around 10:30, but the key, it was one of those lock boxes with the numbers on it. Do the combination, open the box,
Yeah,
and
like
the keys
the
in there.
master lock boxes or whatever they're called.
Yeah, and the key had gotten jammed under the mechanism, we think. We never got it open.
Nope.
So
Yeah,
we're
we
standing out there like he's logging into our phones, trying to that are like pretty close to dead as well, trying
my
to
phone was
get a
on,
hold of the
like,
Airbnb
20%.
people.
He's trying to log into Airbnb to find these people's information so we can message them.
And like we message them, and they're at work, so we end up standing outside, and we finally get let in. And so the one time we were gonna go do the Vegas thing and like drink and gamble.
Do the Vegas experience of hang out in a casino until all hours of the night.
Yeah, not the Vegas experience of get strippers and blow or whatever.
Yeah, that's
That's not
icky.
us.
That's icky. If our wives and girlfriends are listening, that's yucky. We
Yeah.
don't do that.
No.
No. No.
Even if they're not listening, I'm really not into that.
Yeah, in all seriousness, that's not an ideal fun time for me. But
I was a little bit
enjoy
happy.
playing blackjack and getting free Coca-Colas or something.
I was a little bit happy we didn't end up going because I
I'll be
just don't
honest,
like it.
I kind of was too, but yeah, after 45 minutes of standing in front of that place in the Las Vegas night dry heat, and it was windy the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Like it was just so windy the whole weekend. Every time I turn on Pokemon Go, it would be like, hazardous weather warning. It's windy outside.
I made a tweet about this, but I feel like I know how Mad Max feels. Just being out in the desert with all the wind and having it be unbearable to stand outside. I never want to live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. Not pleasant at all.
I'm pretty sure my car melted. Like, the USB port stopped working until I was back in Utah and let it sit overnight, and it started working again, but it just melted.
Yeah, your car was like 140 degrees when we got back into it when we left on Sunday, after just sitting in the heat for 5 or 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I was afraid those cans of dew were gonna explode and you were gonna sit in it.
I was really worried about that too. When you were like, do you think those dews exploded? And I was just like, oh, I left those in your back seat. Oh, that's where I have to sit all the way home.
And like it was my back seat, but I was like, hey, at least it's not near my magic collection.
It wasn't, yeah. But it was where I would be sitting on the car ride home, and that would have just been the worst.
Yeah.
Luckily, they didn't explode, and I put them in my fridge, and I drank them today.
Did
And
you
they were
steal my
delicious.
ramen? Did you steal my ramen?
Maybe.
My
I did,
And
yeah.
my potarts?
I did.
You.
I have them in a bag. I just grabbed all the stuff that was next to my food because I thought it was all my food. I think you have my ramen, though.
I do. It's in my trunk.
Well,
I'm not giving
trade.
it back.
Yeah, I'm not giving yours back either.
Okay,
We traded.
let's make a trade. No,
You can have my good ramen, and I'll eat your crappy ramen.
no, you're
'Cause I
gonna
got-
come over and we're gonna
I'm
do a
about to
trade. But I was gonna say I'm not giving it back until you give mine back.
Oh, we're actually going to trade?
Yeah.
I gave my Pop-Tarts. I gave your Pop-Tarts to my 4-year-old this morning for breakfast, so...
Screw your 4-year-old. He's adorable.
Oh, but, oh man. What else happened in Las Vegas that was, like, noteworthy? Oh, some lady got walked down the aisle by Reed Duke, and I'm insanely jealous of that woman.
You fanboy.
Oh, I don't fanboy often. Like, I'll point out pros because I know that you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And, like, as we walk by, I'll be like, hey, that's a Hall of Famer. Hey, that's a... You know, that dude just won a GP or whatever. And you're like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, I usually
But I
appreciate the
don't like-
information. I'm like, that's neat.
Yeah. But I don't, like, fanboy out. I'm like, not, oh my gosh, it's Ben Stark. I
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, I
Like-
can't talk to him. My knees are weak.
Oh, that was our friend a couple of Las Vegases ago. We'll tell that story in a minute. I'm going to finish this thought. So I don't fanboy out often. The only two people that I've ever fanboyed over were Reed Duke. And, I mean, let's be real. That guy is dreamy. He is just a hunk of man.
Brandon's wife, if you're listening.
She knows. She knows it. Whenever Reed Duke's on coverage, she'll take my phone away. She'll just be like, is Reed Duke on coverage again? Yeah. Give me the phone. I'm like, no!
Put your pants back on.
No! And the other one was John Finkel.
Yeah.
Like, I could at least talk to Reed Duke when I met him. When I shook his hand and whatever. And I gotta say, though, dude is jacked. If you've never seen Reed Duke in person, his wrestling background kept up with him. Not like me, where like as soon as I graduated high school, I just turned into this just weak little blob. Where like I'll look back on photos of me in high school, and I'm like, man, high school me could beat the crap out of now me.
Well, yeah. Your muscles didn't hold up, but what really didn't hold up was like your bones.
Yeah, my back and my knees.
Anyway.
These guys were laughing at me all week as I would, like, in the morning struggle to get out of bed.
Oh, that futon.
Ugh.
It
Yeah,
wouldn't
the
lock, so you were basically sleeping in a taco unless you just did
Yeah.
it in like sitting position. And I
Yeah,
just claimed
I-
the bed and was like, I'm not giving this up. This is great.
Sean's like, I got the bed. And I was like, I guess I'll take the futon. And we tried to roll it out, and it wouldn't lock. And so when I laid down in it, the futon just went, right? And I was just like, oh. Sean looks at me, and he's like, that doesn't look comfortable. I'm like, it's not. Help me out. I'm going to put it back into a couch. And I just slept on the couch the whole time, the futon couch.
I would have shared the bed, but I wasn't getting out of it.
Oh, man. But anyway, so we're getting sidetracked. So sidetracked. I want to tell you about the other person I fanboyed over. John Finkel.
Is he there?
No, I met him, I think at GP Vegas 2015. Was that the Modern Masters that had the packs in cardboard? Yeah, that was the one that you went to with me. The first one, where we were in the room with like Joey and
That was Modern
Dan
Masters
and-
1.
No, it wasn't. I didn't go to Modern Masters 1. We were in the room with like John Allen and Joey and Dan and Andrew, and Rich was there. That was the year that I almost broke Rich's nose because he sprayed me with water and I got blackout mad. It was like 2 a.m. and I'm holding someone's modern deck going through it, and all of a sudden I just get sprayed with water, and I just like put Rich into like this just jujitsu move, and I just like smashed his nose, and I was so mad, and then I just heard a pop, and I was like, oh no. I think Rich is still upset at me about that, but. And that was the year, remember, when my Legacy deck got beer spilled over it?
Yeah, that was great.
Remember? Yeah. That was great. Luckily, it was double sleeve, so
that was the last time I actually wanted to play Limited. I was like, I'm not playing in a main event again, and...
Did you play any Limited that week?
Yeah.
I thought you just played Legacy all week.
No, I played the main event, and I was 1 win away from day 2.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you, Dan, and Joey were all X and 2 going into the last round. Yeah. And then all 3 of you lost.
And I was just so miserable. I was just starving. And that's how it is like every time I do that.
Yeah, more of the story is don't play main events at GPs.
I would do if there were like 11 rounds of like Pauper, I would do that because I love the format enough. But I can't do something I'm not passionate about. Even Legacy I could probably do.
But yeah, John Finkel is the other one that I fanboy over. When I met him, I almost couldn't even talk.
Do you want to talk about the beta draft? Because you were like fanboying over that.
Oh yeah, that was really cool to watch. We watched the beta draft on the Twitch stream in the car on the way home. It was just really cool watching these old packs get open. Like, I've never seen beta packs get opened. So it was just really cool to watch them get open. And then when a card would get open, and we would all take bets on how much we thought it was worth. And we see who got closer. That was just a cool experience overall.
And scream in my ear. And LSV kept on drafting lands.
Yeah, he just kept taking islands. That was such a funny draft. Martin Juza posted his deck list on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He had 17 cards in his deck. Because it was just like, these are all my playables.
Like, just jammed them in a deck. That looks like a not fun deck or format to like actually play.
It's probably not. I mean, it was created before I think Limited was even thought of. But it was really funny to watch. Well, I don't really have anything else to chat about, so...
I've got one more thing. One of the matches I lost was to this mono blue opponent who was playing ninja-less mono blue Delver. And
that's interesting.
He was really good. Like, really, really good. And
was he that player that...
Yeah, you stood and talked to him for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he does the YouTube channel, he said.
I think it's Sin City MTG.
That sounds... I think you're correct. Sin City MTG. Yeah. We're gonna give him a shout out because he was very good at what he did. And so he's probably worth looking into.
Most of the people I played against were like, "Oh, you just didn't draw any creatures and you're mono black control." Like, they were expecting to see a Gray Merchant any second, and they like wouldn't sideboard out the removal and things like that. Like, a lot of people had no idea what was going on, even after I corrupted them like 3 times. They just couldn't figure it out. He knew exactly what to do. Like, he boarded out all of his fairies and just had like Spire Golems and Stormbound Geist.
Yeah.
And that was rough. Like, I boarded in Shrivels, and I ended the game with 2 Shrivels in hand, and he just had 2 Spire Golems on the field, and I just felt silly.
Yeah, he definitely kind of played circles around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sin City MTG is his channel, I think he said. So
yeah,
I think he's definitely worth checking out because his play was impressive.
Well, I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that's really all I have. Yeah, I guess let's just close it out. That was the show this week. A little bit shorter on the content, like the full side of stuff. We spend a little time just kind of shooting the breeze about Las Vegas, but that's because it was a special episode because Las Vegas. So
Yeah.
next week, expect us to get right back into the nitty gritty of what we do.
Yeah, and I don't think we actually talked about exactly what I played, but you can look on my Twitter or on YouTube. If you just Google like Lobbert Corrupt Control, my deck list will pop up. So if you want to see the full deck list, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and as far as I know, the top 8 deck lists for this event are getting published.
Yeah, they're kind of being a little bit slow about it.
Yeah, but that should happen eventually. Probably it'd be on the Wizard side or like in TG Top 8. I'm sure you can find it. But I guess let's just close out the show. Say thank you again to our sponsor, puremtgo.com, for supporting the show and for helping bring Pauper content to your ear holes.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or you just want to get in touch with us, you can do so at commonknowledgemtg@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can also support the show via Patreon at patreon.com/commonknowledge. And Sean, if the listeners want to get a hold of you and maybe ask you about your sweet experience top 8ing this championship, where can they do that?
You can find me at Lobbert8, Lobbert number 8 on Twitter, and you can also just look me up on YouTube with typing in Lobbert.
Lobbert. Yep. And you can find me at bclark_ck on Twitter. And we have a Facebook page too that you can also join, and we're both on there. You can get a hold of us through that. It's just I think it's just Common Knowledge MTG. It's just a Facebook page. This is actually I think a funny story. So last story, and then we're done forever until next week. So I actually had a chance to go and introduce myself to the professor and kind of talk with him a bit about the format. Really, and just kind of say thank you for what he's done to get traction for the format and to build notoriety. And I mentioned, I have a podcast that I do, and we've been trying to build a Pauper community, and we just really appreciate what you've done for the format because it's really helped boost everything else with the format. And he's like, he was like, you have a podcast? What's it called? And I said, it's called Common Knowledge. We were featured in Channel Fireball's This Week in Magic segment a couple months ago. We're on, episode like 26 at this point. We've kind of been going, just trying to build up a fan base. And, he's just like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I have never heard of your podcast. And he pulls his phone out and he goes, are you on Twitter? And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay. And I say, it's Common Knowledge MTG. And he starts typing in Common Knowledge and he can't find it. And I'm sitting there, just try Common Knowledge? Try Common Knowledge Podcast? And we can't find it. And my friend Johnny is just standing there laughing at me. And he's just like, you read this every week. How do you not know your Twitter handle? And so finally I just pulled my phone out and went on to Twitter and looked at it. And I was like, oh, it's CK Podcast MTG.
Let's try to get that changed like after this podcast.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to update that. So just stay tuned. We're going to try to make it easier to find because CK Podcast MTG is hard to search for.
Yeah.
It's not very intuitive for someone who just hears about us and, okay, I'm going to look for them on Twitter. Like, if you just put in Common Knowledge, you will not find us. So,
and that's bad.
Yeah. So keep you guys up to date on it as we go, I guess. But I just thought that was really funny. Just because, I read this every single week. Like, I should be able to just off the top of a hat say what it is, but I couldn't in front of the professor. And so I just thought that was a funny story.
Bye, everybody.
Bye forever.